What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Project Manga Podcast, where we cover Sakamoto Days, Mission Yozakura Family, Jujutsu Kaisen, My Hero Academia, and One Piece week to week. Back this week, covering Weekly Shonen Jump issue number 31. I am your host, Eagle.
And I'm Melo Yenis.
And apologies for the late episode this week. Scheduling has kind of been a nightmare lately, and also I was going through some health issues as well. I actually have COVID right now, so it's tough. But I digress. As always, before we get started, go ahead and take a look in that description box down below where you can find links to any and all of our individual social media accounts such as Twitter, online communities like Discord, audio listening platforms to consume the podcast on, as well as the link to our Patreon if you would like to support what we do even more so than you do by just watching the videos. So also, keep letting us know in the comment section what series you would like to see on the show for the 6th spot on the roster now that Ayashimon is out of there. So we'll be putting up a poll on Twitter and stuff later on, but it helps to let us know, which series should be in the running. So keep putting comments down in the comment section, letting us know in the Discord, on the Twitter, all that. And with all that said, also timestamps down in the description box as well you can use to navigate through the video and avoid spoilers for series you are not current in yet. And with all that said, what a fantastic week in Jump.
It's a good one.
Well, it's a short one, but still pretty good. We're missing definitely a couple series that hurts to be missing, but I don't know. What did you think was the strongest chapter overall, and what did you think of the week?
Oh man, not to sound like a broken record, but I really enjoyed the My Hero Academia chapter. I know some people ragged on it a little bit, but I really liked it. I think of the three, I'd say that it was My Hero, Sakamoto Days, and then Yozakura Family.
Nice. For me personally, I guess, chalking it up to purely the content within the chapter, I would say it's between Yozakura Family and My Hero for me. Mm-hmm. Only because the content feels a little more fresh. What we got in My Hero feels like reinforcement of past things, which also feels good. But in Yozakura Family, we just get new dialogue, new bonds reinforced, mm-hmm. Stuff like that. So new characters introduced that we've wanted, since a couple chapters ago to learn their names and shit. So I think I'd have to give it to Yozakura Family. But a really strong week overall, even though it is very short in terms of what we cover anyway.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what's cooking, because I am firmly in the camp of don't worry about it, let an author cook. If they do it for health, if they do it for the sake of the story, even better. Just let them take their time, because I feel if you're making food, right? Do you cook, if you guys cook at home or anything like that, if you feel like you're being rushed, you're gonna make a bad meal, right? As opposed to paying attention to what you're making. The people that I know that are the best cooks, yeah, they work in high stress industries, but they are good at keeping their calm. That is their biggest muscle.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to seeing what comes out next week.
Yeah. Well, with that being said, why don't we get right into things here with Chapter 77 of Sakamoto Days, first chapter of the night. Killing. Sorry, excuse me.
Yeah.
Some phlegm in the throat.
No worries, man.
Not a whole lot to this chapter, I feel like. I don't know. We only get a couple different perspectives, and we don't really get a whole lot, but I do really like this this scene that we start off with. I like how Sakamoto kind of beating up the students actually does get through to them, because they are kind of mm-hmm. delinquents, so that makes sense, right?
I'm
especially with what the old guy said about you use your youth to get through to them, And he's like, oh, was I supposed to whoop their ass the whole time? Like, is that some delinquent shit? Like, I didn't even remember.
Is this the trick? No,
Yeah,
because
and it
like,
allows him to
but
kind of actually have a conversation with them where he can actually get a better grasp on not only how they feel about like the situation in the school, but like just how much of a grasp that Slur has gotten over the assassin world, and like especially this kind of
oh
this
yeah,
fledgling assassin world where the up and comers are all kind of looking at him like
gung
that's
ho.
the ideology that we should be following, which is crazy.
It's interesting to me because like it's not like how did this happen like powers of youth, but literally like they're talking about how the most important thing in this industry is skill. They say that on page 4, and they admire him for skill. So like Sakamoto, as Mrs. S, won them over by skillfully handing them their asses, and so like they're willing to give them the time of day. And I thought this chapter was like it wasn't like the most exciting, but it's really important because like I think I'm a big person for like social fabrics, especially in stories, just because of like you can only have so many cast members, right? And how they affect each scene can show more. And I thought it was interesting that there was like a level of hypocrisy, right? Like there was this moment where they're talking about like, oh yeah, they've reduced the assassin population by 80%. They're doing great. But then they're also talking about like, it's dangerous for one agency to choose who gets to live or die on page 5. And they're like, X is trying to change the world. And then it's just like, well, what is the difference between the JAA and X, right? Slur is just enigmatic, right? They don't know much about him. And so there's actually a psychological thing done where if you give someone like a sentence that is like missing key words to like give it context, people will often fill in their own context and project what they want onto blank spaces, right? And I bet, you're a pretty sociable guy. I bet you have had like a couple young friends that were like super enamored about a person, right? And they're like, oh, they're the best. They're amazing. They're so great. But like they don't know anything about them. It's just like
I've had even older people that I know. It's like they're like, oh, I know this person. I trust this person. I'm like, you have no idea who that person is, even if you've known them for like. And I've said this to people before. They say this in terms of like significant others, even relationship experts say you have no real idea who a person is until you've been with them for 4 years, and this is on a level as intimate as like a significant other. Until you've been with each other for 4 years, like that's when the true comfort sets in, and you really kind of start to reveal those things that you had hidden before. And that's when most relationships kind of truly get tested, is within that time period when both people are kind of learning a lot of stuff about each other that they didn't know before, due to the comfortability setting in, and then your true habits and tendencies kind of come to the surface. And
you can only tamp down on your own personal nature for so long, right? So if you have, it's like some people are like, I have the problem with this thing, and I just don't do any work involving that thing, right? And then they keep having a problem with that thing, and it's like they never resolve the one tension. And they're like, no, I'm gonna bury it. I'm like, bro, it's part of you. You can't bury it in the basement. It's like a horror movie. Like psychologically, your problems are always going to break out from the basement and cause a ruckus because it's not being addressed, because it's not being seen, and it wants to be. It's going to be regardless.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, the college dorm thing, like the kind of like, it resonated me in the sense that I've lived similar conversations on a much more mundane level of like people trying to talk about politics and then being like, oh no, we want this, and I'm like, I understand, I agree with you on like these like personal stances, but the people you're choosing I don't agree with. And they're like, why not? How could you not love this person? And I'm like, because I don't know them. They're not a real person that I can interact with.
Yeah.
Like, you think that you're like it was like watching some of my friends who are big like Harry Potter heads be head over heels over Elizabeth Warren. And I was just like, they're like big McGonagall vibes, snap, snap. And I'm just like, guys, I love you. This is stupid. Because it's like treating a politician like a celebrity is awful, right? And like people use celebrities all the time to like convince people that like, oh, you like this celebrity, then you like this product, you like these ideas, you like the policies, the actions of the group that Slur is running, right? Like it's weird that he's kind of created like this culture of like mystique to whip up these kids into a frenzy who are showing like ideas of loyalty, or at least outward loyalty to the principle, even if they can't define what the principle is. One guy's just like, nah, dog, it's just because they're cool. Like, they just got the juice, and I'm about it. Like, fantastic.
True.
Whereas, like, some of them are radicalized, like Amine, who is just, like, hardcore, is like, hey, man, no, we can't be swayed. We gotta make action. We gotta fight. Like...
Yeah.
You know, he's really bought into the whole thing, and he's like, no outside influences. This is the one we're listening to. We're not going to listen to anyone else. You know, that's the tricky stuff.
Amine, man. He looks cold.
Dude, I love his outfit. I would love to wear that outfit, to be honest. I would totally rock the shit out of that outfit. Like, I love elbow patches. Very boho art school.
Hell yeah. Oh, I didn't even realize that was an elbow patch. I thought it was part of the kanji. The katakana.
Oh? Nope.
I thought it was like an accent. That's crazy.
I think it's an elbow patch.
So yeah, I'm excited to kind of see how this scene plays out with Sakamoto and them. I wonder if he's just like, oh, we should just drop dead, huh? Well, how about we, you know what I'm saying? What's up?
Yeah.
Like, cause we could settle it just like I just whooped them with all this shit. Like, let's go. We could, you know what I'm saying? Run this 30 real quick. That'd be funny. But no, I'd like to see him maybe actually kind of verbal gymnastics this kid down.
Straight up, I want to see...
You don't even know what you're talking about. Real shit. You're green. You know what I'm saying? You don't know shit. You're in high school. Shut the fuck up. Pipe down.
You're not. You're at an insane occupational college. Come on, man.
Can you imagine all this? Like, can you imagine all this? Just think back to all this stupid fucking shit that you said about the world with like such absolute conviction, and you thought you were just right, and now looking back, you're just like
the worst.
Wow,
worst kind of people.
What a fucking idiot! You're just like all that stupid shit I said. What the fuck? And so Sakamoto's probably looking at this kid like, you're fucking stupid. Shut the fuck up.
Oh, you don't know me.
Just as an experienced like adult looking back, like,
right?
Shut up. Just shut up, dude. That's so annoying. Oh
I can
God.
see why Nagumo didn't go, because he says his biggest pet peeve is righteous justice. Like self-righteous sense of justice. And I'm like, yeah, these people are convinced that they're right, you know? And it's like, it's hard to like, because people are like, oh, you need to reason with, you know, people that are, you know, aggressive with you for that. And I'm like, nah, dog. Like, if they don't know me and they call me a dog, like, what beneficial conversation is actually going to be had? Like, some people, you just need to scrap it out. And
right.
I think Amine's in that camp. Like, he's solid. He's immediately calling us like dog, like not even treating them like you know, they're just stupid teachers, you know, invalidating their occupation, then dehumanizing, that kind of stuff. It's like they're ready to see everybody as the enemy, right? Like, he sums it up. It's like, they're just a dog. You old folks need to step back And then not even like, and like it's like after you step back, what then? It's just like, nah, y'all all should just drop dead. And it's like, yeah, you're not gonna reason to that kid. Just stomp his ass. I think this is
Just
pretty much
stomp
what's
his
gonna
ass.
happen. I think that like Sakamoto's gonna stomp his ass. Is he gonna kill him? No, because Sakamoto. Still
Right.
keeping promises. Good husband. But like, not gonna be pretty. Like,
He's about to whoop this
I'm
kid's ass. Give him the pause real quick. Put the pause on him.
like, do just enough holding back so that they're conscious while you like lecture them. That's what I'm there for.
Just fucking like, yeah, just force feeding him the noodles, like washboarding him with the noodles.
Some.
I guess moving into this latter half of the chapter, unless you had anything else to touch on in that first scene.
I thought it was interesting that I don't remember who said it, but I think we touched it in the previous chapter talking about like how were the tuitions paid? You know what I mean? Like how do the tuitions pay? And they're like they take
Yeah.
30% of your work. And if it's and I was just like thinking, I was like, man, because like some of my old classmates, they still haven't paid. Like I've been out of school for like 10 years. They still haven't paid any of their student debt, like at all. And I'm just like, huh, how would that work in the assassin world? And they're like, they'll send the order to kill
Mm.
you. And I just
Man.
think that's hilarious. It's like, man, like we've had this whole like thing. It's like the order. It's super serious. It's so tough, so scary. Elite hitmen around the world. You know, it is the most coveted council and the trusted weapon of the organization. And they're like, yeah, they're getting student loan debt collection, just wiping these nerds.
Hmm.
And I was
Yeah,
just
I
like,
fucking
huh, that's a little ignoble. I don't know.
Well, so it sounds like I guess they don't even. There is no tuition technically, but they're gonna forever take 30% of anything that you make, um, as an assassin.
Oh, that's in perpetuity.
Yeah,
Ooh, I can see why they're pissed.
perpetuity, baby. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
no,
funny.
hey,
I
you
heard
know what?
one
Yeah.
of the major television stations like TBS or CBS or no, because not CBS because that's Ted Turner or whatever, the dude with the mustache. But I think TBS then, back in the day, there was like a deal that was made for a major TV deal that was made for one of the first stations, and the verbiage in the contract, it's like it's hailed as one of the greatest business contracts in history to this day, because the verbiage in the contract states that they will get royalties or paid for this and such that in perpetuity, which basically means like forever until the end of time. As long as you're
Yeah.
making money on this shit, we're getting paid on it. And I forgot exactly who I heard it like offhandedly on a podcast that I listened to. It just got brought up, but the people who are the benefactors of the contract every year they host a party and like they get a bunch of t-shirts and hats and banners made that say in perpetuity. So the fact that you said that just fucking brought that into my mind, and I had to bring it up.
It all
It was just
came
funny
back.
as fuck.
I was just thinking about how relatable, how pissed off these kids are because, like, I've paid a shit ton of my student loans, and fuck all of that.
Mm-hmm.
That is like private student loans is a company even scummier than privatized healthcare, and they're both awful.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I totally get it. Screw the system, burn it all down. Let's go Slayer. Like, I can see the appeal, but at the same time, it's just like systemic change doesn't happen like that without it curdling. You know what I mean? Like Gojo in Jujutsu Kaisen said it best. He's like, hey man, like, yeah, I could just wipe out my entire opposition and run the world the way I want to run the world. But if I do that, the world I make isn't going to be any different.
True.
Yeah, you know, it's just a flip of like things. Like if you have to take, that's why I like people that do like Confederate flags and stuff and stupid stuff. They're like, we're gonna the South will rise again, or some stupid stuff. And I was like, bro,
Shut
you're
up.
so much less organized. You're not gonna fix anything. Like this is why no one takes you seriously.
Well, I don't know. I don't know that I would apply that across the board as a whole, because I'm sure there's some,
Oh, tactical thinkers, of course.
there's some
They're
people
everywhere.
coming out of the southern area of the United States who are,
Oh no.
smart doctors, this, that, the third, whatever.
Oh,
But
absolutely.
in
I would
terms of
never.
like the South seceding again and instigating a second civil war, it's like calm the fuck down, bro.
I think it would be
just
logistically
just
impossible.
chill the fuck out, okay? Just calm the fuck down. What the
Mhm.
fuck? Oh my god, just shut up. That's another thing where it's just like, just shut up.
I
Shut
think
the
that's
fuck up. What are you still
It's the
talking
other
about
face
this
of
for?
slur, right? You know, they're just like, because they're just like, oh yeah, we like this guy. He's killed off like 80% of the assassination population. I'm like, no. If anybody like showed up, it's like, hey, I'm part of a population, and 80% of me disappeared because of one person and like maybe 12 other people. I'd be like, no, fuck those people. Get rid of them. I don't care if I'm not the target. I'm gonna be.
Yeah.
Ah,
Yeah.
man. I really liked the kind of like wholesome car interaction
Yeah.
initially.
Yeah, I think Nagumo is like, if not already, honestly, fastly becoming one of my favorite characters in the series. He just exudes like that air of confidence, badassness, but also like while being so aloof, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Such an awesome like character dynamic, and that in combination with his, childlike aesthetic where he's always just seems like he's having so much fun. And he's just
Very
like
breezy.
jovial. He's like, oh, you want some Pockies? What up? Oh, shit's popping off. Here, let me get on top of the car. Go in here real quick. Just slash all their necks in half a second. And now we're clean.
Dude, that fight was amazing. I was
I don't
just
even know
like,
if you can call it a fight, man.
I mean, that sweep was clean.
Yeah.
Okay.
That one-sided
I also
killing
love that he
was
did.
one-sided.
Mm-hmm. I think it's really interesting that like Nagumo, for as chaotic as he is, still seems to enjoy following the rules. Like, because he'll send the Morse code on like the card to spell killing. You know, he's
Mhm.
following like the rules of the road as well as the rules of an assassin. And then like, yeah, he used a die to like choose how someone killed, and like that could be seen as a very chaotic thing, but like at the same time, using a die to distill like infinite choice into 6 options and then following the rule even if it's not convenient for you is still like I would say lawful, right?
Yeah.
Like they're following the rules of their own game, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Not as chaotic as they seem.
And it kind of, you would think that increases your skill as an assassin, like, because with any assassination, you would imagine you're sitting there kind of like, okay, these are the options that I have, these are the routes that I can take. This is plan. Plan A would be the easiest route to take. Plan C, B, D, E, whatever. So if he's taking, saying, okay, these are probably the best 6 options. Now I roll the dice, whichever one comes up, whether it's the easiest or the most difficult, I got to make a plan to enact it that way, which you would think polishes his skills more so as an assassin more than it hinders him. Obviously, it hinders him in the sense that, some jobs might be harder because of it, but it's only going to hone his skills more at the end of the day.
I do agree that skill or like whatever like scenario is, skill, that level of skill offers him like a lot of like wiggle room, a lot of freedom to choose how he wants to execute things. And I think it's just, the straight, I hate saying power difference, but just straight difference in abilities. Goes there. I mean, you can see it in any arena, right? Like if you go for like if there's an extreme difference of wealth, there's don't have any worries. If you are you're doing a sport and you are particularly athletic, if there's a difference in that, you have the freedom to choose which plays you're gonna make, as opposed to, well, I'm not very fast. Well, son, you're a linebacker, okay? Like, if you're not fast, you gotta be tough.
Yeah, man. Definitely. So go ahead.
I just wanted to touch on like some of the older generations reflecting about like school and like one moment.
On page 10 and 11 here.
Had to clear my throat.
Oh, no worries.
But like Shishiba's talking about how he dropped out on page 11, and they were talking about like Osagiri. I was like, yeah, no, you didn't even really go to an assassin school. You were just this murderous. I love that she's from the farm, and it just like it's trending right now, right? Goth farm girl, like it's there.
Yeah.
Osagiri is manga's goth farm girl, and it's hilarious to me. That's. But other than that, that's really all I had to say. I was just like, I just liked the fact that they were, like, different in their, like, things. Because they're talking about, like, people, the kids in the JCC, they only see one way of doing things, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're just like, oh, we have to go to this school, and then we have to, like, pay this money for the rest of our lives, and we'll never get out of this debt. And then, Osagiri's like, yeah, I was from a farm. And Shishiba's like, I dropped out, and I'm part of the guys that, like, kick your asses for money. So, like...
Right.
I just found that, like, deeply ironic.
Hell yeah. I don't know that I really had much else for this chapter. I guess rest in peace these fucko assassin guys in the car, man. They're out of there.
Oh, they were tapped. At least they were given, like, chiseled jaw lines, but that's about it.
They got their shit slashed expeditiously, bro. Buddy hopped in the car. He's like, shoot him down. Where? Oh, gets yoinked out the fucking car on some Batman shit. Mm-hmm. Then he's just sitting in the fucking whip with him. They're like, huh? Ah! Just get fucking... Oh, my God. Nagumo's nasty, man.
Nagumo is fucking death on the wind. The thing that I was really interested was his finger tattoos.
201%. I saw that. Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah, I was like, what does that mean? Like, is that a level of earnestness that he tries to embody, or is this part of, like, an equation that, like, further, personifies his, ideals? Something like that. Or it could be just the classic tattoo idea of, it looked cool, I wanted it.
Yeah, interesting. I'm wondering...
He has math.
It looks like the one on his left hand says 301. If you zoom in.
Oh, yeah? Oh. Interesting. So, he's about overcoming limits? And also, like, the idea, I remember the Fibonacci spiral, which is about, like, exponential growth.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's really all I have for Sakamoto Days today.
Yeah, I think that's all I had as well. Well, with that, I think we can go ahead and get right into Chapter 136 of Mission Yozakura Family, the Gold Rank Spy Meeting, Part 2. And I love the big dick energy that we get from Kyoichiro, like at the beginning and the middle, kind of basically throughout the chapter, really, and especially paired with his dialogue about the Yozakura family being the greatest spy family in the world, and that leaving one random organization won't cause them to falter, which was gas. You could tell that he like wasn't totally being truthful because he is kind of upset about the situation, being that Izumo's kind of the president, and he makes that clear in some dialogue to him in in kind of the middle portion of the chapter. But my point is, like, I love that energy so much from Kyoichiro, and I guess as long as I brought Izumo up, I also really did love that he was able to talk Kyoichiro down as easily as he was, and I like the reinforcement of that, of their best friend dynamic through like Taio's dialogue about how normally once Kyoichiro loses his temper, it's like impossible to calm him down, right? But yeah, sorry to jump around a little bit, but that I really love a lot of this chapter, man. And like I said, it was kind of, I thought maybe even my chapter of the week here. So,
oh man, because like I absolutely agree. Massive, just main character energy from Koichiro, just like, and it makes sense because like, if you're part of an organization and it's willing to expel you, what benefit is it part of their organization, right? Like, because like if you're part of like a group like that and you're all assassins and killers, like the only reason is for to be part of that is so that it has your back. And the moment it doesn't have your back, it's almost like a breach of that social contract. And it's just like,
yeah,
if we left the organizations, you would cause reprisals. So it's really business and like standard practice for if you pull your backs on us, we will hurt you. Like, right? Because like you could, but like it's easier for an organization to get away from it because it is a bunch of people as opposed to the family, which is a much smaller, condensed council of human beings.
Yeah. And Kyoichiro's like, hey, if any of you vote to expel us for shits and giggles, bro, just know it's on site, bro. Like I'm throwing hands. And Ryu's like, oh, if you attack us, like, you know what I'm saying, it's gonna look worse on you. And he's like, you think I give a shit, bro? I will fucking jaw your bitch ass right now.
You're
I've been
already expelling us.
You've been all over my brother for fucking 10 years. Shinzo just getting bodied by this dude.
Amazing. No, I really liked Kai's ability to like, because like I know they talked about like the super high perception, and I love that they're using that kind of the idea of like a friend knows who you are, right?
Yeah.
Like can recognize certain things about you, especially if they know you very intimately. I know we touched on this like, just last segment about how it takes like several years to like really know a person.
Mm-hmm.
And I just like that the Kai was just like, oh yeah, no, you did more cologne, and it's in your hair, which means you were nervous. And like, that's crazy to like notice all those little things. Very Sherlock Holmes, top-notch spy president stuff. That's like exactly what I wanted. And I definitely remember saying that I didn't think it was going to break out into a fight because of the president talking down Kiichiro.
I think
the snacks, though, seem like a big point. I don't exactly recall. It's on page
I'm fairly
8.
sure that that's like their favorite snack. I'm pretty sure. That might even be the snack that Kyoichiro tells Taio to go to the grandma and order when he wants to talk to Izumo.
Yeah, and so I feel like there is a meaning of him opening up the snack, right? Like, because when he does, he's like, Kai, wait 1 second, like, what does that mean? And so it's like, I don't know, maybe like one of those code things where it's just like, I brought you this snack every single week, and then you never eat it because you don't like it, but I just give it to you so that, like, that's the sign that I want to talk to you. You eating it is like a sign of, like, you wanting me to talk to you, that kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I was looking to see if Kyoichiro ever took one and ate it, but he doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we get big empathy vibes, big friend vibes from Izumo here, talking about how
Amazing
Kyoichiro's
cut.
been going to all these extra lengths and all these to even self harm, right? To just put the family on his back and act like they're rock in this time of turmoil, and he's like, you've done so much up to this point, like why ruin it just by turning up here at this meeting now and like attacking Ryu, attacking Shura, whatever.
I loved it. And like page 6, amazing thing. I love the idea that like he like because like Black Spider's been like Black Steel Spider's just been like OP forever, right?
Yeah.
And so seeing it be undone with a box cutter was just like, that's super cool.
Oh yeah.
Like having it frayed.
Yeah, I would expect that of Izumo too, because like you said, it's just like friends no friends, and he knows Kyoichiro's Black Spider, so he's like, I got your shit. All I need is an X-Acto knife with 2 of the fucking things out. And if you've used an X-Acto knife, you know like how small of a blade he was working with, and he sliced all these threads. You know what I'm saying?
Them motherfuckers are sharp though.
They are sharp as fuck.
Sharp.
Yeah, they're not to be played with for real.
Mm-hmm. What do you think of the kind of the parallel champion, like the parallel spies, right? Like, because we talked about like Ryu and
the Cyber Demon Lord Giga and Dr. Mozu. I'd love that we got their nameplates finally, and I thought it was awesome that we were kind of right in our speculations about their field of expertise, I would say, in the assassin field, where Cyber Demon Lord Giga's like, yeah, if you can't capture him in 3 days, let me hack into Shion's database. And then this other dude's like, oh yeah, let me take a bunch of Nanao's research data too. And they're fucking just talking shit. So yeah, no, I love that.
He was mean and cut all ties with me, and I'm like, bro, you probably did some messed up shit, because like Nanao is such a sweet boy, horrifying child, but like
he's that unethical one. You know what I'm saying?
He's the one. He's human rights violation waiting to happen. Yeah. His hair's so big because it's full of sin.
Right. It's full of sin. Oh my god. Hell yeah.
Man. I think it's interesting that Hulong, the really like proper looking lady, was Kengo's teacher.
Yeah.
Yeah, which makes me wonder who Cosmos Akizakura is supposed to be
affiliated with.
Like who they're supposed to kind of be a match for, right? Because we've got Futaba's like, military industrial complex buddy. We've got the newspaper guy for Shinzo. And it just makes you wonder, like, and we got the president for Koichiro. So I wonder who Cosmos is supposed to, like, reflect. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I think all that's left is Taiyo, right? Or Mutsumi. I'm really bad at math. That's my hobby. I play D&D. Why am I bad at math?
Mutsumi, I mean, it could be, if anyone, I was thinking, I don't know.
Goliath?
No. I don't know. It's tough.
Well, if you guys have an idea, let yourselves know what
Cosmos could just kind of be a wild card,
True. Man, what did you think about Momo's public apology video?
It's wild. He's just like so mentally unhinged. Like he just does. He's going back and forth. I just wonder what I wonder more so what the request is.
It's so abusive, man, right? Like you're doing horrible things in front of your family and then killing people for your family, causing a trouble for them, and then privately apologizing, being like, "Oh, I'm so sorry," as
Mm-hmm.
opposed to like, because it's only for the gold rank members. It's not like a public apology
Yeah.
or anything like that. And I do my best to avoid like internet celebrity drama. But you see that shit all the time, right? Like you're like, "Oh, I'm sorry I took a video of, dead people's remains in Japan," or "I'm sorry that I, said the N-word and I'm very sorry and I'll never do it again. It's just how I was raised." It's stuff like that. Or like, "I'm sorry I sold bathwater that may or may not have actually had zero body person in it. Like, it was just bottled water. Someone did like a DNA test or something. I don't know if that's true, but
I
like,
would believe that because no,
I
that's a
believe
huge
that.
thing.
I'd
Like
be like,
girls selling their bath water now. It's like, what the fuck?
exactly, man. Like, relax.
Yeah.
Um,
I,
but or
I'm,
like people doing all these public apologies and stuff. They're like, "I'm sorry for my personal opinions about like whether Palestine should be free, yada yada yada." And it's just like, I don't know, man. Like, you're a celebrity who doesn't believe that the Holocaust existed. Okay, like I don't know what to tell you. Like,
hmm.
so that's how I feel about like Momo. It's just, it's a, "I'm sorry there's consequences and I'm trying to like make you feel sympathy for me." It's just like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I've had a lot of friends who've dated a lot of abusive fuckers, and it's just like, see that shit over and over again. It's weird how like all of them have like the same playbook. It's fucking insane.
Yeah.
Like, what
Seriously.
bookstore are they all going to, dude? Like, no
It's
idea.
yeah. It's
One
it is
episode of
insane.
MTV's Pickup Artist in like a couple like bad decades, and there we are, guys.
Yeah, it is fucked up how all abusers kind of have that same playbook. That definitely is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And even knowing that, like, these like abusees or these women, men, whatever, they get caught up in these situations regardless, knowing all that, just because like
Mm-hmm.
that mental vulnerability, that's taken advantage of by the abusers, and it's like it's wild. It's fucking wild. The insecurity that's taken advantage of or whatever. Like, yeah, a lot of my family's been involved in a lot of abusive situations like that as well, and
Mm-hmm.
it's yeah,
Oh yeah, no, I
it's
mean,
a
good
fucking
people
trip.
have sympathy. It's evil people that view sympathy as a weakness, right? Like, I don't trust people that have like have abuse allegations, but then also at the same time, I've had people like, "Why are you giving money to like homeless people?" And I'm like, "Bro, I could have been homeless." Like, there's been a couple years where I'm just like, "Man, I could have just completely fucked up and like landed on my ass."
Mm-hmm.
Hope you get better, man. Like, I'm just trying to show you some of the sympathy that I hope I get later down the line,
Yeah,
you know? But I don't know. Some people are like, "Oh, they're gonna do it on drugs," and I'm like, "Bro, I was gonna do that on drugs. Okay, like the money's spent the way it was gonna be meant to be spent."
right.
Um,
I'm fucking dead.
uh,
It's funny as fuck.
for legal purposes, that's a joke. Stay in school. Don't do drugs.
So,
Great art though. Like,
excuse
I
me.
love
So,
the eye on 6, and I love
oh yeah,
Koichiro in the background on 7.
yeah, definitely. Oh yeah, that Kyoichiro panel was fire. Him saying like, "Yeah," and that's what I was saying.
Mm-hmm.
Where Kyoichiro's really hurt about Izumo, being the president. He's saying like, yeah, you got that cold ass ability that lets you see shit. So like, if you can see shit that well, what I'm saying, this is all bullshit. You can see that this is a farce.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, if you're trying to fucking stop me with full knowledge of that, then I ain't even gonna have mercy for you, Kai. Calls him by his first name there. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I'm saying? Ooh, that was so
I
gas.
thought that was really solid. No, that was a great way to like turn the conversation back on the organization effectively.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was fantastic. I don't really have too much else to say. It was a fun chapter, very heartfelt. Um, I thought it was crazy. On page 9, I really liked the fact that he has a very specific pre-mission cologne and it has like a spider on it.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh, that's kind of cool.
The black spider. Mutsumi's
But
favorite.
like bergamot is one of those like wildflowers that it could like make someone sick, but also can be like, be used to brew tea. It's from the nettle family.
Right.
And then but like the name of the plant the name of the fucking cologne is eau de toilette, like the smell of the toilet, like come on.
Well, no, that's all perfume and cologne.
Really?
Yeah. Like,
I always thought
I could
that
go
was
get a
like
bottle
a
out of my
parody.
closet right now, and I bet you at least one of them would say that. It's
Bro, that's
nicer
crazy.
colognes anyway. They all say that on the bottle because for some reason that's what it's
The
called.
thing. Well, actually, I have an idea of why that is because Louis the 14th, right? Like that big fancy era of the French where like perfume and stuff was really big. They didn't have a lot of indoor plumbing. There's still people pissing in like vases and like chamber pots and pans, and they had maids that would carry that stuff and get rid of it. And everyone has to pee and everyone has to shit, and like the British Thames was toxic. If someone fell in there, they're like, well, they're gone. Like, they're basically swimming in sewer. They're toast. And like the plague ravaged Europe for a reason, Like it didn't smell good, and so perfume, eau de toilette, makes sense. We have the luxury of indoor plumbing, and so like for me, eau de toilette, I was like, that's got to be a joke, right? Like I know what that translates to. That's comical, but like if I take a step back, look at the history, makes sense.
Damn, and so they were really just dumping their shit and piss in the river, and like that shit was just sinking to the bottom, and like the river was toxic. That's wild.
And it was a small island, right? But like, yeah, they did all kinds of stuff. Plus, like, there was a dude whose job was to like shovel the pits out, like bathroom pits. They'd be like, no, it got to go there, and he's like, I'm gonna shovel it out, and people would use that manure to like take care, like put it onto the fields. I know that like different cultures had different ideas on like manure and like night soil to like used for enriching fields. Depends on the place. Yeah, weird stuff.
Yuck.
Not to go on a complete tangent
So,
about.
They say
that
that they're gonna capture Momo in 3 days.
3 days. That's crazy.
Yeah, it is pretty crazy. I don't know. I mean, you think maybe they got a Kyoichiro at least has maybe a plan in place to try and.
He has to, right? It's got to be something where he's. I feel like Momo's apology is going to throw like a wrench into his initial plan. He's like, you know what? This isn't ideal, but like the core premise of the plan should work. Let's work around that and then kind of hash out what he needs with the rest of the family. I want to see that war room kind of table discussion for the family.
Yeah.
Like really badly.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that would be gas to get them all like at the table, like how we, just cooking, like how are we gonna do this? That would be really tight. I think that's about all I had for this chapter, though.
I thought it was kind of weird that Momo had a tie that had his children's faces on it.
Yeah.
I was like, that's a little creepy. It's like, you ever see those guys? They get tattoos of like their kids, but the art is always like jacked up, and their kids look like Gollum.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like I'm just like, yeah, like that level, or like I knew a dude in college, and his college girlfriend got him like a shirt with her face on it, like super jumbo. Like the whole pattern of the shirt was just her face on it. And I was like, "Is that a gag gift?" And he was like, "No, it's not." And I really didn't appreciate you saying that. And I'm like, "I'm sorry." And he's like, "I don't blame you. I just don't appreciate it." It's like, yeah, that's fair. I get
That's
that.
funny.
Yeah, that's it for Yozakura for me.
Yeah, me too. Well, with that, I think we can go ahead and get into the last chapter of the night. Chapter 358 of My Hero Academia. The guy who's made some progress. And, big Shigaraki this chapter, kind of. I mean, not a huge, like, Shigaraki chapter, but it was a really strong My Hero chapter overall, in my opinion. I think, you know, you obviously agree because you said it's pretty much your chapter of the week, but not only did we get, like, a lot of fire action panels and, you know, a lot of cool just attack panels, defense panels, movement panels, but we also get some really hard-hitting dialogue from Shigaraki here, and it's always so fire when he gets in his bag because he just, like, so thoroughly tears down the system in every facet, right? In a way that makes the heroes, you know, he's spitting to have to confront their ideology in a way that they, you know, may never have had to before. So that's always really gas. That's always super gas.
I think it's interesting how his arguments have gotten better.
Yeah.
Or at least the veneer of it, like, right? Like the angle of which his words hit sound better. But when you look at like what he's actually saying, and you're like, you know what? You make about as much sense as you would when you're conferring everything as video games and being a little nerd, you know?
Yeah.
Where he's like, you know, he's saying what he wants to say so that he feels justified in what he does.
I mean, it sounds outlandish, but like he is speaking from experience, and like the system is fucked, you know?
Yeah. I mean, it's a tricky position, right? To wield something's imperfection and say that that is enough reason for you to be wrong, right? But
that's why I love the dialogue that we get from Bakugo kind of in turn, right? Where he not only reflects on his past indiscretions when it comes to like the Deku situation, which obviously, you know, we all know about, and his growth because of that, and basically says like, look, you know, I've taken all this to heart already. I've acknowledged this, and I'm trying to move on and grow from this shitty person that I was, and this, you know, these things that I did in the past. And like, yeah, we know the system isn't perfect, but like me and a few others are trying to work on it. We're trying to move forward, and we're trying to build on, you know, what we know is right. You know what I'm saying? So, but what you guys are doing and how you guys are going about it is just not okay. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's basically what he's saying in a more Bakugo way. So, like, I felt that, you know?
absolutely, because like they're talking about like, you know, pretty words of like giving rise to a world of my own, or one beyond me entirely, appearance, form, function, for worlds split beyond any hope of status quo. All that awaits is schism and destruction. And like he wanted to be saying like, under my rule, all will be united as the exploited class. All will be equal. And I'm like, you're not including yourself in that. You're above that. And it's like, what a twisted form of world peace. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that could be the all for one talking, or maybe even the Shigaraki.
I think it's,
who knows?
I think it's the
we
fusion.
get the difference in the dialogue bubbles, which has been the most indicative thing we've had so far of the change in personality within Shigaraki, at least. Because, you know, some of his bubbles this chapter are those and some are not. And honestly, those ones where he's kind of spitting in, you know, page 6 to 7, really, you know, like that dialogue, that seems like some more all for one-esque dialogue, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and especially juxtaposed with the dialogue that we get from him on page 5. You know, he's like, oh, the more all-for-one quirk, the more the all-for-one quirk takes root within me, the more my body adapts to the legion of stockpiled quirks within, along with various environmental factors. But he's like, my body's kind of searching and groping for the ideal form, right? And then right after that, I don't know, it seems like he kind of switches, but it could still be Shigaraki, more so than All for One. But we do know that both of these personalities are kind of vying for control in a way, you know.
I think it's fused because like it's got Shigaraki's like impulse, but like with All for One's vocabulary.
All for One's control, like vocabulary and like composure, it seems.
And then just like Shigaraki's the disdain for what Shigaraki feels is the system comes with but then like given eloquence through All for One's vocabulary, you know? Mm-hmm. I think the eloquence comes through the wanting to rule the world still seems more like a All for One type of bit, but they seem stable, you know, because like Shigaraki is more known for his like mental instability, right? This Shigaraki is very placid, very like collected, and like sure that they're going to win.
Yeah.
So I think that like currently AFO is kind of running the show, but there's still a little jag on those bubbles. So like, it's not one and done. It's still like percentages in flux.
Yeah. For sure.
Man, I love Bakugo's kind of like sweat-powered like backup system.
Yeah, the
Strafe
the suppressive heavy mobile unit Strafe Panzer. Hell yeah.
Dude, that was cool. And I like that that's part of his light outfit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, cause he like his suit bulked up, but it felt lighter. You know, it felt compact. Mm-hmm. Despite like his original outfit was like skin tight with just like the arm and like knee guards. I think it's just because like the volume of like the wrist guards and stuff shrank. You know, kind of like evened out.
Yeah, the wrist guards we did kind of note that they seemed smaller, and now I like that we get this look at him again because we were speculating in a chapter or two ago that NG Endeavors was kind of looking forward and seeing them in the future. And we saw what looked like the stun grenades on Bakugo's wrist. And we were like, oh, does he have those like now or does he still have the fragmentations?
He's got the
When was the last time we saw him? He's got the pineapple, the fragmentation one. So that definitely was like a future Bakugo. I don't know, it's off topic, but
I mean, I like that though, because it's like it kind of shows that each person's vision of who someone could be or like what they see in them is different. And I think it's really interesting that like when like you see All for One view his like quirks, right? They are rarely people with like deep impressions or features, right? But like barely detailed at all because he doesn't actually care. Whereas like Endeavor could like see clearly who he thought they would be.
Yeah. And even Deku, like, you know, he has a clear vision of his vestige, his past quirk users because he does care. He's gotten to know them and he's, you know, learned from them. Whereas, you know, like you said, All for One is like, you're just a quirk to me. I don't even care.
Yeah. His interest in them is extremely superficial. Mm-hmm. I can't wait to see this to be animated, to be honest, because like the surfing on a giant surging wave of your own arm is A, weird to think about, and B, just like, oh god, I saw people posting memes of like, oh god, what is it called? This is old dumb meme people, Wojaks. They had the guy like Silver Surfering on his own brain, like reads Lord of the Rings once extended edition. You know, that kind of thing.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Shigaraki on page 5 here. He's riding the hands. That's crazy.
Yeah, and watching him on like page 1 as well, like he's just doing that thing.
Hell yeah.
I just like how like wild and like 3D dynamic the battle is. Like I'm appreciating that that's the case. And so like the team that they chose for this fight really get to shine their abilities. And
Yeah.
I love that. Like they took time to like shut down specific quirks and abilities to like frame the fight. They did all this and now it's paying off. And I love it. Like that's like great prep. I like watching these specific like customly chose teams to like fight in this position. I like the little sport coming out of like Mirko's leg, the little backup leg that they got. I love edge shots, like bits to times to shine because we normally don't see that guy's stuff. Like we've seen Kamui Woods, right? Like handful of times. We haven't seen Edge Shot like really pop off much. He's like, I only do the things when I have to strike, that kind of guy.
Yeah. Hits him with the pulp thread throttle.
Dude, his power is scary.
Yeah.
Like it's
Hits
super
you with that
lethal.
lung puncture real quick, and you're just like.
You're like, I'm glad you're one of the good guys. You know what I mean? Like.
Yeah, for real.
His power could be abused so quickly. Like it's tearing through those arms.
Just whip through a bank and fucking pierce everybody's heart real quick. Nobody would even know what happened.
Mm-hmm. Like if he was like a proper ninja, if he was an assassin or something, man, like you'd be toast. It'd be brutal.
Yeah.
The thing that I thought was the most important in this chapter was kind of a multi-chapter thing. I thought that this was great juxtaposition following the Endeavor fight because Bakugo was his generation's potential Endeavor, right? Like he could have been that kid that grew up to be a flawed adult who caused a lot of harm and suffering, right? Like, that was kind of the point, right? Like, if you make mistakes when you're young and you become a flawed adult, it's still not too late to be an adult who does the right thing and then immediately following up to a kid who has like the same kind of life path looming ahead of him and be like, hey, you're young, and even if you were a shitty kid, there's still a chance to be a kid who does good things, right? Like I thought that was like a really nice touch and like great parallel for that. It was very satisfying because like normally I don't like Bakugo as a character. They softened like the more ridiculous like rage out of him for a lot of things,
Because
which
he's
is
grown.
great.
Yeah.
He's grown, exactly, and so I appreciate that. But like, I hate really loud characters sometimes. It's just like I'm a pretty chill dude. I don't need that kind of volume in my life.
Right. I feel that. I've always fucked with Bakugo really hard as a character, and I've loved watching him grow and learn through his experience and his interaction with Deku especially, and I've loved to watch their dynamic develop into a more respectful, best friend comrade
Peers.
Dynamic. Yeah.
Like real peers, man. And
Peers,
I
really.
appreciate Bakugo Like, I appreciated the position that he filled within the story and the idea that, like, yeah, we can be on the same team. That doesn't mean we have to like each other, kind of thing. Because, like, it's just like any other job, right? Like, they said heroism is both an ideal and a profession. There is a Venn diagram there. There is overlap, and there are places where either side is lacking.
Mm-hmm.
And I appreciate that, you know? I think that in a world with superpowers, that would be kind of inherently violent. And people are judged by their abilities, which are somehow reflective of their personalities as well. So like if someone doesn't accept you because of your quirk, they're basically rejecting you for who you are, right? Like that's deeply hurtful for a child
Mm-hmm.
or adults. I don't know. I just think that like troubled kids would be way more common than well-adjusted ones in a world like that. So I think that Bakugo is a very important kind of character to have.
Yeah. Hell yeah. Howitzer impact
like
cluster.
The next NG. Dude.
I can't wait to see, like, you know, what if anything it does. I mean, he doesn't have the healing factor, so if he gets this big move off on him, you know, he could definitely land a big significant blow here.
Yeah, I don't know, man, because like I'm waiting for because like what if the arms splatter around, right? And he has a bunch of like meat and bones sticking out, like splattered all over.
Meat
Clumps
and
of
bones.
stuff. So,
Yeah.
but like, yeah, they have that, right? Like, it would be terrain that isn't controlled by the group, right? They would have to send that flesh outside the cage. Otherwise, he could use it to break line of sight. And then, like, I don't know, regenerate, and then maybe, I don't know, he probably has, like, some kind of, like, a marrow-kinesis ability. And so, like, the bones that were broken and splattered all over the place sitting in those piles of flunch are gonna, like, twist and, like, sharpen and, like, become, like, branching drills, like, attacking people. Like, I'm expecting
Because of the
something
growth
like
factor.
that. Because of the growth factor, and then, like, him weaponizing the parts of his body laying around. He's like, well, I create these like claws out of bone, so I can just control that part of me that like the cells aren't completely dead, right?
Well,
Like,
he can't really harness any quirks right now still because of Aizawa still hitting him with erasure.
yeah, but I feel like he might use the clumps of his own body to break line of sight.
Oh, so I see what you mean, yeah.
Yeah, and then like weaponize the scattered clumps further. And I feel like I'm just waiting for that to happen. And then
That would
they'll
be
be like, we
wild.
have to like jettison all of the flesh, and it'd be like, okay, cool, but now there's massive gaps in the floor. Be careful.
Massive gaps in the floor. Wow. And, you know, you never know. Yaoyorozu and them might start running out of stamina. They might stop being able to make the floor panels.
Mm-hmm.
Kaminari and
Yeah.
them, you know. Got to think
It's
about
the
how
war of
long they can
attrition.
power this, which is what they were touching on, you know. While
Yep.
Bakugo said
Stakes
it,
are gonna rise.
while we still got all this people, you know, supporting us, we got to finish this.
I think it's gonna go really poorly. I loved the art though. Super crisp. I loved the fact like on page 3 you could see Best Genus like just surf rope.
Yeah. Best Genius is sick with it, man.
Mm-hmm. I was like, that's actually super dope.
And
Even
yeah,
if I don't
Mirko,
really
like you
fuck
said,
with...
kind of running across running along the skin or the hand growth
Arm?
branch thing.
Arm?
And Best Genius was actually grabbing Bakugo by the arm and whipping him in that same panel with Mirko.
Hey!
Whipping him out of the way of one of the arms.
Ah, I see it now.
Yeah, some fire choreography this chapter, man. But I don't know that I don't know. I don't think I really had much else to touch on.
Weird parallel. The fact that Shigaraki's body is super fluid, and on page 10 it touches on how Sludge had Bakugo near death, and Midoriya came to save him. I think that's, foreshadowing another parallel. So it's only gonna get worse before it gets better.
True. Maybe he goes for his eyes then, because if you remember, the thing that fucked Sludge up was that Midoriya's book hit him in the eye.
Mm-hmm.
The one part of him that was actually fucking vulnerable.
Yeah, because it kept rearranging.
Hell yeah, but I think that's, like I said, that's about all I had for my hero this week.
It was a good week, brief week. I'm looking forward to seeing what Oda and what we get in the next One Piece and Jujutsu Kaisen.
One Piece back next issue?
Week. Is it? I haven't read.
Should be July. I don't know. Probably the one after. It's probably the 15th. It's going to be the one after this coming.
That's okay. They're near the ends of their series. Like, you gotta handle those endings with care, because, like, you don't want something to have, like, the Game of Thrones effect, where you're like, hey, we had something great, major cultural conversation piece becomes dead air.
Within a year,
Yeah.
That's wild, yeah. It literally went from... I was just talking with somebody about this, like, today or yesterday, actually, funnily enough. Like, literally, somebody that I used to talk about Game of Thrones with week in and week out. As soon as the episode was over, we would have conversations about it. And we were like, man, it's crazy how... Oh, and it was because the House of the Dragon is coming out. It's a Game of Thrones spinoff about the Targaryens.
Okay.
And so we were talking about just like, yeah, it's crazy how something can go from literally being a cultural worldwide phenomenon talked about, across the world day in and day out, trending on Twitter every time an episode drops, to literally never being talked about in anything but a negative light, fading into absolute obscurity, nothingness.
Like,
could have been one of the greatest legendary. What was that? Sorry.
No, yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
I was just saying, like, on one hand, like, could have been one of the most legendary TV series in history, to nothingness. It's just like, wow.
Yeah. Became a faux pas. People were like, I've had a conversation about Game of Thrones, and the last 5 times, it's all about, like, wow, they really fucked up an ending. And weren't they given the ending? Like, how did they fuck up so badly when the whole shit was written?
Yeah. Well, it wasn't written. They did take a lot of creative license in the, because the last thing that the books actually covered, I think, was, everything after Jon Snow waking up. Spoilers, I guess, if you're not fucking current on Game of Thrones.
Spoilers, if you like.
Everything after Jon Snow waking up, I believe, from death was kind of creative license on the author's part. Like, it wasn't necessarily covered in the books yet, because he still hasn't finished the book series.
True.
And so it was a noted thing, like, yeah, it was stated from early on the endings would be different, but they took so much creative license, and they actually rushed it to a fucking end because they wanted to do Disney contract shit that they fucking... And then Disney was like, nah.
You've fucked it up so badly. No. Get out of here.
Yeah. So
don't lose us money.
Good riddance, fuck D&D. They ruined what was one of my favorite TV series ever and turned it into nothing. And
yeah. Show's got to be handled with care all the way through,
Hell yeah. All right, well, I think that'll do it for my hero tonight, and I think that will do it for this episode of the Project Manga Podcast. Thank you all so much for watching. If you did, be sure to slap a like on this video if you enjoyed it. Make sure you subscribe to the channel for more fire-ass weekly content. Also, leave a comment down in the comment section below. Let us know what you thought of this weekend jump overall, if you thought we missed anything or anything like that. Also, let us know what series you want on the 6th slot. on the main show here. And yeah, take a look at the description box down below. You can find links to any and all of our individual social media accounts like Twitter, online communities like Discord, audio listening platforms to consume the podcast on, as well as the link to our Patreon if you'd like to support what we do even more than you do already by just watching it. We would appreciate. And yeah, with that, this will be another stupendous episode of the Project Manga Podcast. We're wrapping up. I'm your host, Eagle.
And I'm Mellow Yenis.
Peace.